They were padded.
I don't know. I was just gonna wait until you diverged into a story.
About what?
Just anything. You usually do.
I do.
Hello. Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah. Who are you?
Your father.
Would you tell me why we would drive to Natick like once a week?
To go to a chess club?
Yes.
Metro West Chess Club? Metro West Chess is one of the 2 top chess clubs in the state. It's got some very good players in it. It had multiple masters. It had some international masters that used to play there often. Yeah, and it was good. The competition was good there. You held your own. I mean, at first you were getting your ass kicked every time, but then you started holding your own.
And when did I start playing chess?
I think you're about 7, maybe we played with a little when you were 6. You went to your first tournament. No, you were 6.
What was it like teaching me to play chess?
I didn't know what I was doing teaching you, so it was interesting. At one point I started explaining to you the game like it was a story, because you liked stories, so I started doing it like that. That's when you started learning, I think, because when I'd ask you about what happened in a game, you would say stuff to me like, well, his knight was scared and wouldn't come out. So I tricked him into coming out. Like, you'd tell me like it was part of a story. And then I knew you were kind of getting it. Made up this thing in your head when you were playing. Like it was some movie or something. Well, I used to play. I mean, back, a long time ago.
Did you ever have a rating?
Yeah.
What was it?
1941.
Nice.
That was a long time ago. I was kind of a hack. When I was in New Jersey, I would play there, and I would go up to New York to play a lot. So they're really good in New York. I mean, they're really good. I mean, that's like the center of chess in the country. So then I moved to Florida. My father got a job done in Florida, so we moved to Florida. And they weren't that good. I went to the chess club, and I just, like, toasted everybody. They had, like, a team, and they play other schools, so they put me on the team, and then I was just crushing people. And then it was like, this guy came down from New York, and he just was, like, destroying everybody, right? And so I would go to these games, and I played off of it, like I pretend I wasn't paying attention. You can play the man or you can play the board. I would play the man a lot because, one time I read a magazine while I was playing the guy, which they shouldn't have allowed me to do, but they didn't. They did. But the entire time I was thinking about the game. Yeah, I won the championship that way. I went through every player that they had in Brevard County, Florida. I think it taught you patience, and the whole point of it was I was fighting SpongeBob. I was trying to get you away from instant gratification shit. You can just go boom, boom. You can switch from this to look at this and this. And, I wanted you to be able to sit back and just think. When you sit there and think and you lose everything else, it's just the board. And you're looking at it and you're thinking ahead and you're calculating. That was the best part of playing to me. You're so totally focused on it that everything else, you forget everything else.
Who's your favorite chess player?
Of all time?
Yeah.
You.
Thank you.
You mean like famous chess players?
Yeah.
I'd say Paul Morphy.
Why?
Because there's like an intrinsic beauty in the way he played. He played chess because he loved playing chess. He beat the crap out of everybody that would play him, and he beat them bad. He beat them like daringly. And then he played that game against 2 guys at the Paris Opera. He wanted to go to the opera, so he was up in one of those booths at the side of the opera. Played these 2 guys that were like consulting on it while he was watching the opera. And so basically he did what I did when I read the magazine. He's watching the opera. They'd make a move and tell him they made the move. He'd turn around and make a move and turn back and watch the opera. It's like one of the most beautiful games here. He moved. He gave up pieces to move their pieces where he wanted them and then just checkmated. It's beautiful. It's like, and the guy's watching the opera while he did it. There's a lot of good chess memories with you. When you won your first tournament and you won 4 games in a row, you were so excited and you got the trophy and everything. That was nice. When we went to Providence College, and the Providence College had a chess tournament, the kid who was the president of the chess club who organized the tournament, when you beat him, that was a good day. He was so pissed. That was a good game. And then some dude who I didn't even know, he said, "That's the most mature game I'd seen her play." And I'm thinking, like, what, are they rating her up in Chess Life? What the hell?
Well, I was in a few publications.
You were. I don't even know if you remember this. You were pretty little. We went to Rhode Island. You played some kid, and then after it was over, you complained to me that he had his friend was standing there and helping him. And then they were making fun of you because you were a girl. And that really pissed you off. I said, look, I watched these kids play. They're not that good. and go back next month. They'll have another tournament down there. And I said, nothing would make a 13-year-old boy feel worse than if a 9-year-old girl beat him at anything, all right? I don't care what it is. If a 9-year-old girl beat a 13-year-old boy, the kid's going to be suicidal, all right? All right, that's just the way 13-year-old boys are. And I told you that. And then we went back there, and sure as shit, you played that kid in the first round, and you beat the shit out of him. And then you, at the end, you go, how do you like being beat by a little girl? I always told you to be a good sport, and that was probably the only time you were a bad sport. Like, you stood up and said that, like, loudly. But I was okay with it. One disappointment I had was that year you almost made it
and
to the Spiegel, and
that led to me quitting.
Yeah.
That was a major disappointment in my life. Like that.
I don't know if I pushed you too hard or.
No, it part of it was I was getting sloppy, and I was.
I think you were nervous.
Yeah.
Like you basically collapsed at the end because like you had.
But I only missed it by half a point.
Yeah, I know, but I mean you had a lead,
And I was just getting sloppy. I wasn't playing safe. That was like.
I think you were scared.
What are you doing?
Just getting B-roll.
Getting what?
B-roll.
I just wish. Oh God, I wish you'd beat that guy in Harvard Square. You had him. He was dead. Okay, but you got scared. Well, it was funny because there was a crowd. By the end of the game, there was like 10 people behind me, and there was all these people sitting on these chairs.
There's such an ego boost.
And they were all like
chess.
asking me questions and stuff about you.
Because it's your mind. Because it's all your intellect. And when you win against somebody who's older than you, or a dude, or like just somebody who like thinks that they're better than you, it's such an ego boost.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Remember that old guy you played in Sturbridge? I think it was one of the time at Continental. But you played that old guy, and he was pretty good. Like, he had been pretty good, but he was like old now. He said the smartest thing about it. I don't know if you remember this. He goes, after you beat him, and he said, let me tell you something. Keep playing. This is the greatest game ever. Where else can he goes, well, I was in a tournament last week, and he goes, where else can I play a guy who's like 90 years old, who used to be like a master level guy, and now he's older, but he was a master level in chess. I played him, and then in the next round I played a 6-year-old kid, and you play equally. You're on the same level. And he goes, I beat the master guy and I lost to the 6-year-old kid.